Okay, folks, here we are again. This is recording number 2 of section 4-5. All right, so where I left off here is I mentioned to you that the book has some typographical errors here. So what the book is wrong. The book has errors in it, but on the electronic version here, the ebook here, what they did was they just deleted those sections or those lines that had the mistakes. And so they just jump from here to here. So I thought, well, this would be a good chance for me to just show you step by step how to do these problems. But I did want you to know that in your book, at least in the 10th edition, there's some errors in there, okay? All right, so but let's read the problem and then we'll go to my handwritten solution. So a student needs to select 2 topics to write 2 term papers for a course. Okay, there's 8 topics in economics, 11 topics in science. Find the probability that she selects 1 topic in economics and 1 topic in science. Okay, so I agree with this part right here, and I agree with the final answer, but they deleted all the intermediate steps because they had mistakes. Okay, so let me close this. And here's my handwritten solution to this problem. And I'm trying to get these things done, so my handwriting might be a little bit hurried. Okay. All right. So here we go. 4-52. Here's the problem. Follow my advice on this. Okay. Maybe you'll come up with a better way, but for right now, take my advice and do it this way. And then as you go along, if you want to refine it or change it, knock yourself out. But this is the benefit of my many years of experience. This is the best way of setting up a problem. So obviously right here, I'm just writing down the title. Write down the information that you're given. You are given certain information. Write down what it is that you're given. So item number 1, 8 topics in economics, 11 topics in science. 2, student needs to select 2 topics and write a paper for each. Then we say find. So you see what's going on here? We have given and then we have find. Probability she selects 1 topic in economics and 1 topic in science. Then you go to solution. All right, now listen. After you write it down like this, close the book. Don't keep looking at that problem. I know how it is. You know, the tendency is to read the problem 15 times or more and just go in circles. Don't do that. Write down what it is that you're given, write down what it is that you are supposed to find, and then you write down solution. Now, sometimes here I'll put down things like I'll say discussion, or I will say discussion and formulas. You know, it just depends on what's appropriate. Okay, so here's my solution and kind of a discussion as well. As usual, the probability is the number of successes over the number of possibilities in the sample space. The numerator is the number of ways to choose 1 out of 8 topics in economics and 1 out of 11 topics in science. Okay, she does one selection after the other, so they are 2 independent events. When she picks one in economics, that does not affect what she picks in science, so they're independent. The order does not count. So what this is telling me is, okay, I'm going to use combinations, not permutations. The denominator, same idea, is the number of ways to select 2 topics out of all 11 topics, and the order does not count. So there's 11 topics altogether. That was given to us up here in the given section. 8 topics in economics, 11 topics in science. Okay, so I see I did this really quick, and I see that I made a mistake here. Okay, right here, the number of ways to select 2 topics out of all, it should be all 19 topics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat here. I'm going to stop. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to scan it, and then I'm going to we're going to look at that instead. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I fixed the paper, and then I rescanned it. You know, I don't have the sophisticated tools like you see on Khan Academy for doing things on the screen, so I'm doing the best I can here. A week ago, I couldn't even spell canvas, so at least now I'm making some progress. Okay, so the denominator is the number of ways to select 2 topics out of all of the 19 topics. How many ways can you do that? Order does not count. Okay, so the numerator. This is n choose r combinations. So this is just the standard formula that we know and love. Okay. For the economics class, there's 8 topics, and I'm going to pick one of them. So what's the top? N factorial. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, blah, blah, blah. The bottom, n subtract r, that would be 8 subtract 1, that's 7 factorial, times 1 factorial. Well, look what happens. The 7 factorial is 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So they cancel. So what do I have left is 8. For science, similar remarks apply. There's 11 topics. I pick one of them. So on the top, it's 11 factorial. On the bottom, it's 11 subtract 1. That's the 10 factorial times 1 factorial. Things cancel. Boom. Now you may notice a pattern here. What the heck, man? 8, choose 1. 11, choose 1. It just gives me the 8, and it just gives me the 11. Well, that's always true. And if you just work out a couple of examples, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's absolutely always true. If you told me 187, choose 1, how many are there? What does that work out to be? 187. It's just the way it works out. And you can see it here with 8 and 11. See, it's 8 factorial, but on the bottom, it's 7 factorial. Boom, they all cancel. And then you got the 1 factorial. Well, 1 factorial is just 1. So it's always going to be that way. It's always going to be where you start with 11, and then on the bottom you have 11 factorial, and then on the bottom you have 10 factorial. That cancels everything out. But I wanted to, even though that's a rule and that's something that I'm aware of, I wanted to do it step by step here just for your benefit. But now you know the rule, so you can do things a little bit better, a little bit quicker anyway. So what's the numerator? The numerator is going to be the, where did we have that before? Well, I guess I don't have it written out yet, but the numerator is going to be the number of ways that you can pick the economics times the number of ways that you pick the science. Okay, so you have 8, choose 1 for economics, 11, choose 1 for science. Those are independent events, so you multiply them out, so it's 8 times 11. That's the numerator. The denominator, as I've mentioned, it always seems to be easy. There's 19 topics total, and the student chooses 2 of them. Okay, so it's 19, choose 2. Well, now this little strategy I gave you up above, that doesn't work because, it just doesn't work. On the top, you have n factorial, that's 19 factorial, and then you have 19 take away 2, that's 17 factorial, and then here you have 2 factorial. So things all work out. I mean, 19 times 18 times 17 factorial, so they're going to cancel. Write it out by hand if you don't believe me. But this is one of those things that you can verify for yourself. So it's always going to be the first 2 guys here. 19 times 18 is what's going to be on the top. And then on the bottom, here's the 2 factorial. That's 2 times 1. So 19 times 18 over 2. 2 and 18 cancel out, gives me 9. So 19 times 9 is 171. So on the bottom, I've got 171. All right. So now putting it all together, and it's a lot easier for you if you print this out and can look at the papers. On the top, I've got all the ways that you pick 1 out of the 8 for the one topic, 1 out of the 11 for the other topic. Multiply those together. That gives me 88. On the bottom, I just showed you why the bottom, the numerator, or the denominator, the denominator is 171. So 88 over 171, I use my handy dandy calculator and I come up with 0.5146, which is approximately 51%. And that's exactly what the author has in the textbook. But there was just that, as I mentioned to you, I don't want to beat a dead horse here. As I mentioned to you, in the book they had some typos in here, but on the electronic one, it's a lot easier to change the electronic one than it is to change the paper one, obviously. Okay. Okay, so I hope that helped you. I hope that helped you. All right, let's get another example here. Uh, state lottery numbers. You select a 3-digit number. Repetitions are permitted. So this is different, right? Before, once you pick a top up here, once you pick a topic, you can't pick the same topic again, right? Okay, so here we go. It's a 3-digit number. Repetitions are permitted. If the winning number is selected by the government or whoever runs the game, you win. Okay. So here's the question. If a winning number is selected, find the probability that it will have all 3 digits the same. Repetitions are permitted. That's a key point. There are 10 different digits, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that means that there's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 numbers that you pick. Out of the first number that wins, how many possibilities are there? There's 10. For the second guy, how many are there? 10, and so forth. So 10 times 10 times 10, there's 1,000 ways to select a winning number. When all the digits are the same, that is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, there are only 10 possibilities. So the probability of selecting a winning number which has 3 identical digits is 10 over 1,000, which is 1 over 100. So what's going on here? Now, see, the author doesn't have enough space in the book to write down every detail, but what's going on here is exactly what I've been telling you, is that the fraction, the probability fraction is always going to be on the numerator and the denominator. The numerator is the number of possible successes. The denominator is the number of possible outcomes in the sample space. So there's in the bottom here, there's 1,000 possible numbers that you could pick from. 10 times 10 times 10. That's the number of guys or number of outcomes that are in the sample space. On the top, you can only, if they're all the same, there's only 10 possibilities, right? Okay, you got all zeros, all ones, all twos, and so forth. So that's why it's 10 in the numerator, okay? All right, so I guess I'm going to leave the other examples to you. Here's just some closing words from the author here. These counting rules and the probability rules can be used to solve a large variety of probability problems. There's an infinite number, okay? Here's some discussion here. I know you don't have time to do everything. You don't have time to do all of the exercises, okay? This is pretty much worth your time because they do have answers for you. But right here in the exercises, what I recommend you do is at least read the problems, glance through them, okay? Try to find ones that make sense to you, that are of interest to you, so you can work through those, and that will help you with finding, to really understanding the nuances. If you do that, if you find a problem or two that you cannot solve, and you're like, oh my God, I don't get this. If you send me an email, I will either do the problem myself, or if I don't have time, what I'll do is I will scan and email to you the publisher's solutions. And the publisher's solutions are very succinct. They don't go into a lot of detail, but they do walk you through it. It will be a help. And if that's not good enough for you, then I will take the time to write it out for you. I'm here to help you, but I can't. There's no possible way for me to teach you this. You have to learn this material yourself. Okay, so that's the end, I believe, of chapter 4. We got a little discussion here, a little summary. I strongly urge you to read the summary. I think I've mentioned to you before, you should always read the summary first. That gives you an idea of where we are, what does it all mean, and so forth. So obviously, I'm not going to read it to you. You can read that yourself. And then they always have the important terms here as well. So if you look at a term and you say, what the heck is that? I don't remember that at all. You just, that gives you a page number where to go. Okay, so that takes care of chapter 4. Chapter 4 is done. The homework is the same as always. The homework is the chapter quiz. That's the written homework. So make sure you do that. And we'll talk later about how you're going to hand that in. Okay, all right, one more thing. On page 247, the important formulas, there is another freaking typo here, unfortunately. Let's see here, right here. If you look in the book, it's n factorial over r1 factorial, r2 factorial, r3 factorial, dot, 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 all the way up to rp factorial. So in the book, in your handwritten, in your textbook, it's wrong. So make sure you fix that.